this was the AI image that I came up with. And guys, I had some really scary looking Christmas pickles when I started doing this. And this was the cutest one that came up. So this was kind of my inspiration piece. And if you hear a weird noise, we did get a parakeet last week, and she has decided to do some singing right now. So if you hear her in the background, that is what you were hearing. So this is what I came up with. I added a little Santa hat onto him. And the picture had glass eyes. I decided just to do felted eyes. Yes, I will go through all that, Lynn, in just a second. And then I added a ribbon to make it an ornament. You could make it without the hat if you wanted to, or you can add a hat. I'll show you how to add the hat, and you can decide which you want to do. So let me go through what you're going to need. You will need your needles, as my usual are a 36 and a 38 triangle, and then a 40 spiral. Excuse me, the weather's just really got me going here today. You're going to need some core wool. This is more than what we're going to need. We'll break it down a little bit, but I like to use the core wool in the center. So this is just kind of a piece of a bat. I think I got this from Lion Gate Farms. But you can use a sliver, you can use a bat, whatever you have on hand. And then for colors, I am going to use this lemon lime color, which is what I used on the other one. I kind of went through a few of my different greens, and this is the one that I kind of came up with that I liked the best. I had like a really dark green, and then I had this other green, and I had another green. And I wasn't sure if I was going to like this at first because it's got quite a bit of blue in it. But I think it worked okay for the pickle. So that's what we're going to use for the green. And then for the Santa hat, I have this red, which I believe is from Living Felt, a Merino MC1 bat. So we're going to use a little of this for the hat. And then you're going to need a little bit of white, and you're going to need a little bit of black. And if you want to give them cheeks, you'll need a little bit of pink. I think that's all the colors we're going to need. And then, like, if you want a ribbon to hang it with, you'll need a ribbon of whatever color you want to do that for. Extras, if you have them, but not necessary. A brush helps with doing the hat, but you don't have to have it. Finger guards, scissors. I have a clover tool with 2 40 spiral needles in that kind of help getting the core wool felted up. But I think that's pretty much about it. Hi, Tammy. Nice. All right, yeah, so if you want to hear the origin of the Christmas pickle, you'll have to go back and listen to the first part of the video. I kind of went over what Wikipedia had, so you can take that with a grain of salt, I guess, if you believe in what Wikipedia has to say. All right, so I think that's all the supplies we're going to need. Oh, and if you have one of these multi-tools with 5 needles in it, that comes in handy for the hat too. So to get started, we're just going to take some of this core wool here. I'm just going to break off a few chunks of it here. And we want to make a barrel shape, but I don't want them to get too big. So this guy is, let me see here. He is just, well, before the hat, he's just about 3 inches. So you want to kind of get your wool to be not quite more than 3 inches. And he's pretty much, he's not really fatter on the top or the bottom. He's pretty much the same all the way through. So I'm just going to roll this up. I'm going to tuck the outsides just a little bit so they're not quite so fluffy. And I'm going to roll it up. And then I'm going to take my 30 6 needle here and just start to felt this down. This wool has a lot of vegetative matter in it, so I just kind of have to pull that out. I don't always pull all of it out because it gets hidden by the top coat, but... And what I want to do is I want to round the top and the bottom. So I'm going to start to do that, even though I'm not... We're going to go with a bit of a thicker pickle. We don't want a skinny pickle. Somebody asked me on my post if we were making sweet pickles or dill pickles. I guess it's whatever you want it to be. They might be sweet. So I'm just going to do one side, do the other, and then we're going to bulk it up a little bit more. You gotta remember not to go too fat on this part because you're gonna add your top coat, which will make it a little bit bigger. So, but I think I will have to make one of these for myself to put on my Christmas tree. Sunny is rather chatty this afternoon. We decided that my parakeet is a girl. Kind of interesting, right where the nostrils are of the birds. On males, it's blue, and of females, it's brown. So I was like, I guess we have a female. She seems kind of lonely, so I'm debating if we should get another one, but I read that if you have a female, you should get a male. Because 2 females can end up fighting, so that was kind of an interesting thing to find out. But she hops on my finger. I need to... Her wings are clipped, so she can't fly at the moment. I want to teach her to come to me when I call her. So she's finally starting to get a little more acclimated to our household. And she likes to chirp when she hears the birds outside. I want to get a little perch to put on my desk here so she can sit at my desk while I'm working and not be lonely. All right, so I think we're good size-wise. So now we're just gonna fatten our little pickle up a little bit. I'm just gonna try and keep it about the same size. And I'm going to keep it so it stays within the ends here because I don't want it to get any longer. I had, yes, we have a dog too. She's getting old. She's almost 13. My daughter wants a service dog, and my husband isn't into that at the moment. He says we already have a dog, but yesterday we were talking. I'm like, well, you could take the parakeet in with you and have a service parakeet, maybe. She didn't know about that. So last night, on Wednesdays, my daughter takes my 2 older grandchildren to a self-defense class, and so my youngest grandson stays here with me. And yesterday he found a Lego game, Now, I'm not into Legos. All my children are very much into Legos, except for maybe my oldest. And my grandchildren are very much into Legos. I'm using a 36 triangle at the moment. And so he found this game, and so he wanted to play it with me. But of course, we had to take it all apart so we can build it from scratch. And those Legos did a number to my nails. Not that I have good nails anyway, but yeah. And we even had like this little thing to kind of pry them off, but that didn't work on the really small ones. Service berry key, yep. Alright, so I'm just trying to get him, so it's still pretty squishy here. So I think I'm going to add just a little bit more to it, because it's going to get worked down a little bit more. See if I can get this to kind of go all the way around. Perfect. Welcome, Jane. Glad you are here. Yeah, she'll have to go back and watch the replay. I will tell you what Wikipedia says about the Christmas pickle. Still core wool, yes ma'am. We'll use core wool until I switch to the color. As long as my needle is still going in okay without too much resistance, I'll continue to use the 36. But it is starting to get a little harder to go in. When I switch over to my color, my top coat, I'll probably switch to the 38 needle. Oh, I do stab my fingers, believe you me. Not as much as I used to. I've gotten pretty good at keeping the fingers out of the way. It's just like, cutting up food with a knife. You kind of learn how to keep your fingers out of the way, but if I'm distracted and like if I'm watching something, YouTube or lives, and I'm not paying attention while I'm working, that's usually about the time that I stab my finger because I'm not really paying attention to what I'm doing. But most of the time I'm pretty good. I do still use finger guards for small stuff because I do not like to intentionally stab my fingers. My friend Chantel from Fuzzy Fiber Art, she doesn't use finger guards, and I'm just in awe of that because I would be stabbing myself doing small stuff. Alright, so you can see there's still a little bit of give here, but that's okay. We're going to start to add our top coat, and that'll get firmed up because we do want them to be very, very firm. Let me just kind of go over a little bit more here. Well, there you are. I was just talking about you, Chantel. Were your ears ringing? I was mentioning how you do really small things without using finger guards, and I cannot do that. I'm too much of a chicken. We're just getting the core wool done. Alright. So, he's a little skinny yet, but he'll bulk up when we put the top coat on. Alright, so if you're late to the game here, I'm using this lemon lime Corriedale from Cupid Falls Farms. Nothing worse than a soggy pickle. You got that one right. And Lynn, I think it was you that we were talking about the different fibers and stuff like this. So this is, they call it, is this a sliver? I'm not sure if they consider this a sliver or not. Usually it says on the package, but in this case, the fibers are kind of going in the same direction, but they're not as, how shall I say, where's the other one that I have here? So if you look at this one, this is actually Hobby Lobby wool, which I'm not a fan of. But I don't know if you can see the difference of the fibers here. These are they're combed out more than these ones. Well, these ones are still kind of going in one direction. They're still kind of intertwined there. I don't know if you can see that very well. So this would be more of a bat, and this would be more of a roving because the fibers are all kind of going in the same direction. You can use both of them to felt, but I find these, the ones that are more of a bat, felt quicker, but both of them will work the same way. So, all right, so I want my, because this has the variegated colors in it, I want it to be going up and down and not this way. So I'm going to pull my fibers off here, and I'm going to lay them this way across my pickle. Thank you, Chantel. I don't want that one. I'm going to switch down to my 38 needle. And I'm just going to kind of go around it and tack it in to start with. And we'll go around it, and but you can make your pickle fat, you could make your pickle skinny. There's really no right or wrong. I really like this color. It's a pretty color. I forget why I ordered it. There was something that I was making with it. So if you are on my other page, my whimsical creation page, I did finish the leaf sunset that I was working on for our drawing. And of course, now that, I was going to do the drawing for 400 and now we're almost at 500, I'm not going to complain, but probably as soon as I get the post done up, I gotta get that all done up. Keep an eye out over there, and you can enter to win that. Hopefully by this weekend. See what I got going on this weekend. I can get it up. Maybe I'll get it up on Sunday and have it run until Wednesday. You still sometimes get a little bit of vegetative matter in the colors. So now what I'm going to do, the nice thing about a pickle is if the needle marks still show, it's really not too bad. Because it does kind of give it a pickly look, but I do want this to get pretty firm. Erica, are you done making pickles? Sorry if I hit the camera there, guys. I'm just going to fill in a few spots that I see here and there. My cucumbers did not do well this year. Nothing in my garden did well this year, although I did get about 1.5 gallons of grape juice made the other day. I know, right? don't think she's got her pad done yet, do you, Erica? If you guys want to watch Erica over on Her Crafted Life, she is in the process of building a she shed, or a they shed, this weekend. Oh, that's cool. And I think she's going to document it on her page. Someday I want a she shed. Although, I don't know if I want to leave the house to go out and work in it. My goodness, Sunny, you are very noisy today. She must hear me talking. I don't know if you guys can hear her or not. So there is a camp that's just up the road from my daughter. My daughter only lives about 8 minutes away from us. And there's this little camp that's up the road from them. There's a house between them and the camp. And their neighbors have said that the guy is thinking about selling it because he doesn't really use it very much. And it butts up against my daughter and son-in-law's property. And so they're like, ooh, if it goes up for sale, maybe we'll buy it. And I wouldn't mind, like, downsizing from our house here to something smaller, and so maybe, like, putting up a modular home or something like that over there by them. And I'm like, ooh, we could do that, and then I could turn that little camp into a she shed. Maybe offer classes in there or something. I don't know. It's not very big, but I think it would be big enough for, like, a little shop or something. But I don't know. I have to convince my husband to downsize first, and that might take a little work. All right, so I'm switching down to my 40 spiral needle now. Actually, what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to take my 240 spiral, and this will make it go just a little bit faster. Now, if you are new to needle felting, you know, I'm going pretty fast here because I've done this for over 4 years, but don't feel like you have to go fast. I used to watch the videos, and I'm like, oh, I gotta stab really fast. But that's like how you end up stabbing your fingers. And it comes with time and practice. So just, you know, take your time and get used to the feel of the wool and how it reacts to your needles. And the speed will come. And if you watch those videos where it's like sped up really fast, oh man, those used to drive me crazy, which is why I don't really do them a lot. I prefer to show my videos in real time. Yep, there, I just stabbed myself. Tammy, I got myself. Not too bad, though. So I like this wool because you can really tell where you still need to stab it as opposed to where it's pretty well felted down. But I do find after a little bit, you kind of just, you have to switch to one needle. The two needles work well for a certain period of time, and then you really need to just go down to one needle. So I currently sell 2 kits. I sell one kit that is just a mat, a set of 3 needles, finger guards, and just basic instructions. It doesn't have like any wool with it to make anything. But then I have a penguin kit where you can make 2 little penguins with. And if anybody is interested in that, you can go ahead and either go to my website, Chicken Run Creations, or you can just PM me and I can get you hooked up with one or both kits. But I would like to offer more. I used to have a bigger kit, but I ran out, and I'm trying to come up with the supplies to do them again. It's hard to... I'm having a hard time finding wholesale prices for wool, so... Plus, my kit was really big, and it took me a while to get rid of it because it was, you know, it was $55. And I had a lot of, but it had a lot of wool in it, so I like to do like a slightly smaller one and less expensive one. But the penguin kit is good too, you know, if you're just starting out, don't really know if it's going to be something that you will really enjoy. And you really don't even need to have the mat to do it. If you have a piece of styrofoam or even like a car sponge, you can just like put a piece of felt, like I have here, a piece of felt over it, and use that as your mat if you're not sure if it's going to be something that you're definitely going to want to get into. All right, could probably go a little bit more, but I think this is pretty good. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to, I think he's a little skinnier, well, a little bit skinnier than that one. So we're going to give him a face next. So I'm going to start with the eyes, and eyes are something that took me a long time to figure out how to get them the same size. So what I like to do is I like to get 2 pieces of wool that are about the same size and roll them in my fingers. And then I like to just kind of put them down on the mat to see if they look to be about the same size. So I'm kind of just rolling them and making little balls with them. Like so. And then if I find one that's bigger or smaller, I can either take away or add more. And I'm going to put it down, I think, let me see how far down. Yeah, about there. I want to have enough room to put the hat on. So, you know, it's probably like about 1/3 of the way down. And I'm going to just stab that in to start with. And then figure out how far apart I want the eyes to be. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around the outside, and I want them to be a little bit smaller than this. So I'm going to tuck in around the outside. You can make your eyes any size you want. Like I said, if you wanted to do the glass size, you can do glass size. I need to poke this down a little bit more. If you don't have your top coat nice and smooth and firm, you'll lose your eyes. They'll just get lost inside there. So if you're doing this on your own, make sure you spend the time getting your top coat nice and firm. Okay, I want to move his eyes over just a little bit. So I'm just going to keep working around the outside edge. To get the size that I want. Now if you wanted to add little white dots, you could. I decided not to add the little white dots. I'm just going to firm this up a little bit more here. There's something rattling when I do that. Okay, his eyes are a little bigger and a little closer together, but that's okay. All right, so we're gonna do a mouth now. I'm just gonna take a really thin piece and kind of roll it like a snake between my thumb and finger here. And it's longer than what we're gonna need, but that's okay. Keep hitting my head on this here. All right, so I'm gonna start in the middle of where I want the mouth to be and just tack it down and then kind of work it up. We're gonna have a smiley pickle. Looks like he's got a funky mustache at the moment. And just very carefully poking that in. Now, depending on how much extra you have, you can either trim it off, or as you can see, what's going on here is it's just getting pushed right in. So that extra just disappears. And then I'm just going to, I want it to be a little bit thinner. So I'm just going to kind of work it in. The more you poke it in, the smaller it'll get. So, but don't do it too much because you don't want to totally lose it. Probably the hardest part of this whole thing is the hat. And that's not even really that hard. Alright. I think his eyes are still too big. Now I'm going to get my pink, and we're going to give him some little cheeks. And I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the eyes. I'm just going to take 2 pieces of my wool, roll them in my fingers here to make little balls that are about the same size. They might be a little too big, but we'll see. And then decide where you want them to go. He might have bigger cheeks. Oh, I'm sorry, Debbie. Hopefully nobody else is having problems. Yeah, once in a while my phone says slow connection. They really make them, don't they? I don't know if you guys have seen my little potato. He's probably on one of my pages somewhere. He's got cute little cheeks too. That's weird. All right, we're going to have him have bigger cheeks, I think. Okay, so you would want to really get this pretty firm before you go and add your spots. Now you could do your spots a couple different ways. I just did black, but like you could make, you know how pickles are kind of spiny, so you could take little bits of wool and kind of roll it and make little spines on it if you wanted to. I'm not going to do that though. I like the black. So, and then I'm not going to do the whole thing just for time sake, but you would want to go all the way around your pickle. So what I'm doing is I'm just pulling off little tiny bits of black. The Quilt Guild is having an ornament exchange for the Christmas party. Oh, yeah, that'll be fun. So I'm just going to make a few of these. It works a lot better, like if you go through and make a whole bunch of these at one time. And then you can just go ahead and pop them on. Actually, the first time I did it, I made probably more than I did more than what I liked, so I ended up pulling a bunch of them off because I thought I had too many. But just really, I mean, you see it's a really small bit of wool. It's not much at all. I think I might dilly. I think I might actually teach this class at the library in December. Somebody requested it, so we might do this and maybe another one if we have time. All right, so just make a whole bunch of little black dots here, and then you're just gonna poke them in, and the more you poke them in, the more they'll disappear. So if you don't want them to be like really stand out a lot, just poke them in more. This might be a little too big. Am I naming this pickle? Sure. Pete the Pickle? It's a jingle dill. How about Piccadilly? There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to kind of stagger them a little bit. You can see on this one, see what I did initially was I had a row in here, but I thought it was too close. So I went to the outside of the cheeks. You know, these cheeks are a little bit bigger, but I think this will still work. And I'm going to stagger them a little bit so they're not completely lined up. Piccadilly, I like that. Piccadilly pickle. I should make my son and daughter-in-law a pickle this year for their Christmas tree. And you don't really have to go to the top of the head because the, oh, I forgot to give them some eyebrows. I have to do that before I put the hat on. You don't have to go all the way up with the dots because the hat will cover the top of the head. So I'm just going to go up the two sides here, and then I'll go back and add some more after the live for time's sake. Okay, and this could get felted a bit more, so I'll felt it down a little bit more before I add more. All right, so those are the spots, and let's give them a couple little eyebrows here because he needs some eyebrows. So I'm just going to do the same thing that I did for the mouth and just get a couple really small little pieces here. I'm actually going to fold this over a little bit. And figure out where I want them to go. I kind of like my eyebrows to be off to the side a little bit. And I'm just gonna tack it down to start so I can get the other one. Kind of can't see them on my other pickle. I should have made them a little bit closer to the eyes because the hat kind of covers them up. So he's got some really bushy eyebrows here at the moment, but we'll get them a little bit smaller. And you don't even have to have them the same, because I kind of like them when they're not quite even. My goodness. Can you guys hear Sunny chirping in the background or not? I don't think she's been this chatty since I got her. Okay. Alright, so now he's got some eyebrows. Alright, can you hear her? She's rather vocal today. She's been rather quiet, but I don't know if it's because she hears me talking. And she's like, I want to play. Oh, that's funny. I think I need to get her a friend. Okay, so now let's do the hat. Now I've already kind of pre-done the hat, but I'll show you how to do it just to kind of save some time here. So what you want to do is you want to take, now I'm using a bat. If you're using like a sliver, it'll be a little bit different. But what you want to do, this is way too big. What you want to do is you want it to be wide enough to go around your pickle. So this is plenty wide enough. And I kind of like to have like a triangle shape, but it doesn't have to be exact because you're going to kind of adjust it a little bit as you start to make it. If you're using more of like a sliver like this, what you'd want to do is kind of layer out, kind of spread it out and kind of layer them out like this. And then you'll trim it up to get the shape you want. But since I've got the bat going here. So what you're going to do is you want to make sure that you have your bottom that's going to be big enough to go around it. It can be too big at this stage. It's okay. Yeah, he's in the other room. She's in the other room. So I think this bat I got from Living Felt. I think it's their MC1 Merino bat. But other places have the bats as well. All right, Sunny, gotta be quiet now. Yeah, I lost my train of thought. Okay, I'm glad that she's not too loud. So making sure that it will go around the head, you're gonna start to felt it flat. Now this is why I like to use the brush instead of using my mat, because it comes up a little bit easier, but you can do it on your mat if you don't have a brush. So what I would do is I will keep going over this, and basically I'm making a sheet of felt. And so I just keep going back and forth with this. Now I have a piece here that I've done quite a bit on already. This is a little bit longer. The height of your hat is totally up to you. If you want a really tall hat or if you want a shorter hat. And you can see I kind of have a general triangle shape here. And I have, it's just basically a sheet of felt here. So now what I'm going to do is, first off, I'm going to see how much, so I have quite a bit of extra here. So I'm going to just pull gently by holding the middle and just gently pull some of this extra off. Because this definitely doesn't need to be this wide. And don't worry about being at a point on the top because we'll take care of that. All right, I think that's better. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll this up just a little bit and tack it down. You really don't have to do this step because we're going to cover this with the white anyway, but it just kind of cleans up the edge a little bit. And then I'm going to take one side and fold it over. Now you could do this, I mean, I'm actually making like a little hat to put on it, but you could use wire and wrap your wool around it and make like a cone shape and then put that on top of the head, or you didn't even have to use wire. You could just make a cone shape and then attach it. The wire would allow you to fold it over, and doing it this way allows you to fold it over too. If you don't want your hat to be folded over, you can, you know, go straight up. You don't necessarily need to have the wire or do it this way. So I want to make this pretty firm because once I get it on, it'll be too hard to felt out more. I'll do both sides. This is going to be the outside, so this is the side that you're going to see. Now if you find you have any spots that are kind of thin, you can go ahead and add a little bit more wool. Sometimes, especially with this MC1 bat, I'll find a section that's a lot thinner than the rest of it, and I'll just add a little bit over the top. We're going to go over an hour today. Okay, so now, all right, where's my pickle? I'm going to just put this around his head and see how it's going to fall on the back here. And I just have just enough. So I'm going to just kind of mark where that is and attach it, but I don't want to attach it to the pickle yet. I'm just going to kind of mark where that is there so I have an idea of how much I need. So now the rest of this is going to come around here like so. So I'm just going to kind of fold it over. And up here at the top, it's okay if you go through all the layers, because you're gonna come to a point. But as you get down here, you want to only stab it into that first layer that you have. You don't want to go through all the layers because you want to keep it open in between. I'm going to switch to my 38 for this for the moment. And we're going to go back to the 40 spiral. If you happen to like go too hard, you can just stick your finger in there and just kind of open it back up again. But I'm doing like really, really light pokes here. Like it's only going in like maybe 1/4 of an inch. Now if you have, I don't have one small enough, but if you had like a cone of core wool, you could stick that up in there. And then it would be a little bit easier, but I don't have one that's small enough. Mine is a little bit bigger. Just as like a form. If you had some styrofoam, that was small enough, you could use that and then just pull it out. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of go around this area here where I attached it. To make sure it's secure. This one is a 40 spiral. You could also use a 42 triangle. The 40 spiral is kind of my favorite to use for finishing. So if you have, like, if you can see a seam where you attached it, that's why I left it fuzzy, because you can usually not have a seam there. But if you have a seam, you can just take, like these extra bits of wool that I pulled off and just kind of fan them out a little bit. And, like, I don't need quite this much. You can't really see it down here too much, but up here I can see it. So I'm just going to take a little bit and just kind of go right over that, and then that'll all kind of blend in so you can't really see a seam there. Okay, so once you have that secured, I'm gonna just work on this end here just a little bit to make it a little bit smaller. And I'm just gonna, you notice I keep turning it because I don't want it to get flat. I want it to stay round. I'm not too worried about the fuzziness at the end because we'll use that to attach to our little ball of fluff at the top. All right, Sunny. She may have to go upstairs while I'm doing my lives if she's going to be so loud. I'm not too concerned about this bottom part here because it is going to get covered up. So make sure that that's tacked down really good. All right, now let's make sure that it's still going to fit on our pickle here. Just kind of pull it down a little bit. He's going to have a really tall hat, but when you fold it over, it won't be quite so tall. All right, so I'm going to attach the little ball to the top first. So I'm just going to take some of the white, and I'm going, hi Trina, welcome. No problem, you can go back and watch the replay from the beginning. So I'm just going to roll this into a little ball. And the one thing I don't like about this white is it's still got a bunch of stuff in it. This is where you might want to wear your finger guards. I'm going to try and move this over here. Hopefully you guys can still see this because I don't want it to get red on it. So you can either wear finger guards to do this, or sometimes what I like to do is hold it with another needle and just kind of roll it around just until you get it held together pretty well, and then you can roll it in your hands. I'm using the 38 triangle here. Keep it moving so it stays round. Now, if I had thought, I should have gotten some Angelina out, and I could have made this a little shiny. Okay, once you kind of have it into a ball shape, then just roll it in your hands, like so. to finish felting it. Then to attach it, I'm just going to take the red and poke it into the little ball here. And I'm attempting to not poke my thumb as I do this. If you're afraid of that, just put a finger guard on. You want to make sure that you get this nice and secure. Sure you could. If you could attach it. I haven't used pom-poms before. You might need to maybe sew it on, but you could definitely do that. Mine's got a little bit of red in it, but that's all right. You could also sew this on as well if you didn't want to, if you wanted to make sure it's good and secure, but that's on there pretty good. All right, where'd you go here? All right, so now we're going to put the hat on. Bring it down as far as you want it to go. And now we're going to secure it. So I'm just going to, because this is all going to get covered up by the white, I'm just going to attach it really well down here. I'm going to switch to my 38 for attaching. I'm just going to go right around the head. Hats used to be really hard for me to do, and then I figured out the way to do it with the triangle. You could also, if you didn't want to make the hat, you could always use a piece of felt and cut it into a triangle and then attach that. All right, switch down to my 40 spiral needle. I'm just going to make sure that this is really good and secure. Alright, so then it's going to fold over like this, or like this. We'll see. Alright, now we're going to take our weight again. I'm going to pull off a few bits here. Let me see if I can clean some of this right off of here first. These are just the little silicone fingertips from the Dollar Tree. They work really good for cleaning off your mat. Just kind of wipe it all together here. So I don't get too much red in that. Okay, so I'm going to take some white. I'm just going to make a strip here. Try and get any stuff out of there. So this wool I got from Lion Gate Farm. It's their Snow White, I believe. It's hard to find a really bright white bat. You can find it in the roving, but it's really hard to find it in the bat. So this is a bat. You could use the roving too. I have white roving. This just goes on a lot faster. Yep. Exactly. You can do it any way you want. There's no right or wrong with felting. Absolutely. That's what I love about it too, because you can, I mean, everybody has their own way of doing stuff. And there's no one way that's right or wrong. So now I'm just gonna fold up the edge here a little bit, just to kind of clean up the edge. We'll do it more so when we actually put it on the hat, but I'm going to do the same on this side. And I'll tell you, the width really doesn't matter. I mean, I would just, you know, fold over one end, put it up against your hat, and see how wide you want it to go. This is about 3/4 of an inch, I guess, but we'll see whether it might be too big. It's a little too big, so I'm going to fold this up just a little bit more. When I actually put it on the hat, it will, excuse me, we can make it smaller as well. And I want this to be kind of poofy on the hat. I don't want it to be really firm, just to give it that appearance of it being, you know, the brim of the hat. So I'm not going to felt this down really firm. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach it on the center of the hat here in the front, and I like to start along the bottom edge of the hat. And I'm just going to take it around, covering up the red. And depending on how fluffy you want it to be is how much you want to felt it down. So we're just gonna go right along here. One thing that I found when I was doing my frog and toad order was I was thinking first I was going to have to sew the clothing for them, but I'm like, you know what, I can just make the clothing and felt it right onto them, and that's what I did. So I just poured a little bit off of there because I had a little bit too much, and then I'm just going to overlap the one over the other. And if you have any bits that are like thin, like this here's a little thin, I can just add a little bit more wool to that. So what I like to do is kind of poke into the hat, so you can see my needle's at an angle here. So I'm just going to go around and just kind of poke it into the bottom of that hat, so it looks like it's, you know, attached. Okay, whoops, come back here, Mr. Pickle. All right, so now we're going to do the top, and it's a little wide, so I'm going to kind of tuck it down a little bit as I do this. I'm going to switch over to my 38. So I don't want it to be quite that wide, so I'm just going to tuck it down. And tack it in. Now, if y'all go and make one of these pickles, you gotta make sure you post a picture of it so I can see it. I just love when people take my idea and just kind of change it to their own. I love seeing what people come up with. I think these would be really good for craft shows, so if you like to do craft shows, I think I'm going to make a few and take them down to the shop. I'm going to get just a little bit because there's just this one section in the back here that's quite thin. Oh, that would be fun. A Halloween version. Yeah. Could give it a, like a witch's hat. Or you could make one and just like not even put a hat on it, just leave it plain. Actually, I think so. The gal who I did the ghost, the printouts from on Etsy, I believe she has a pickle one too, that I did download, but I didn't even think to print off. Little pickle with bat wings and ears. Oh, that would be funny. At a craft show, what would be a ballpark price? That's a good question. So I usually price my things depending on how long it takes me to make them, because the wool for this isn't, I mean, you could weigh this and figure out how much cost you have in your product, and this is like, I mean, it's going to be negligible as far as the weight goes. So generally, if I can make it in 1 or 2 hours, if I can make it in 2 hours, generally most of my pieces take like 2 hours to make. I'll charge between $20 and $25. But honestly, it really depends on your market, where you are, because, some things I can sell at one show and they'll sell for a higher price, and the next show they won't sell. So needle felting is such a hard thing to price. My bigger items I usually price at like $40 or $45. So it's hard to say. Honestly, you don't really get unless you have a really good following, you really don't get all your time out of something like this. Chantel, what would you price something like this at over in the UK? So I'm poking this down, but I don't want it to get it like really, really firm, because I want it to still look kind of poofy. The frogs I did not charge enough on the frogs on the bicycle. I definitely should have charged more. Plus, because it was new to me. So yeah, that I definitely underpriced on that one. So now what I'm going to do is I am folding this over, and I don't want to make this flat. I still want it to look, like it's a hat. So what I like to do is kind of run my needle down along the side here to hold it in place. How long that's a very good question, Charlene. I have no idea how long it would take to make a Mrs. Beasley. Okay. Yeah, so 20 to 25 pounds, which is, it's a little bit about the same price. So, yeah. It's so hard to price them, because you want to price them to sell. And you do want to get, something out of your time to make them. And I have customers who, like, they really know the time that it takes to make stuff, and they're, are willing to pay the price. But I have other customers who are like, oh, wow, that's a lot of money. I'm like, yeah, that's because it took me 4 or 5 hours to make. So I'm trying not to stab here in the middle, because I want to keep the puffiness of it to make it look like it's a hat. So I'm just going right around the edges here to attach it. then it gives you the folds here, and you can kind of accentuate the folds a little bit by stabbing into them. Okay, so there he is. So now if you want to attach a ribbon to make an ornament, I just have a really narrow piece of ribbon here, and then I have a long needle that has a really wide hole there for it, so I can stick that in there. And then you can just run this right through the hat. I kind of like to go down a little bit to make sure it's gonna hold. Thank you, Chantel. And just pull it through. And you could use cord or whatever you have for hanging. I like to run my ornaments this way, because if you put them this way, then when you put your ornament on the tree, it turns to the side. So this way you can hang it on a branch and he'll be straight. And then I just tie a knot in the top here. You could do a bow, and depending on how big you want it to be, and just cut off the extra here, like so. So there you go. So I'll go around and finish putting the little black spots on him, but an hour and 15 minutes. He's a little bit smaller than this guy, and his hat's a little bit bigger, but that's what makes them all cute and different. So his eyes are bigger, but so yeah, so there is our Christmas pickle. If you joined me late, you can go back and watch the first part of the replay where I share where the Christmas pickle came from. It will probably surprise you. Or you can just Google it like I did. I printed it off from Wikipedia. So, but anyways, yeah, so if you are, watching and you would like to be notified of my, future videos, you can, type in the comments, !notify, and, then you will get notified for, upcoming when I go live, hopefully. You know how Facebook works. But thank you all for your comments. Oh, thank you, Barb. So yeah, so he's a lot of fun to do. Next week, I am not sure what I'm doing next week. I'm going to look at my papers here and see what I got printed off. Maybe we'll do, I'm not sure yet. I still have to do a candy cane. And then I have a star that I want to attempt out, and I'm going to have to try beforehand and see how the star comes out. But yeah, so I don't know. Watch the page, and I'll figure out what we're going to do next week. Maybe we'll do the candy cane next week. I also bought some wool balls. I cheated, and I bought some wool balls that I would like to kind of decorate as ornaments. So I'm going to play around with those a little bit. I have a few ideas on those, but anyway, that will do it for today. Sunny and I thank you for joining us, and I guess we will see you next week and whatever I decide to do. So thanks for joining me today. It was nice chatting with you all. I got them on Amazon, Lynn. I will see if I can find the link and send it to you. So yeah, someone had posted they had gotten a pretty good deal on dryer balls, and so that's what I got, a big bag of dryer balls. So we will see you next week, same time, same place, and hopefully Sunny will be a little bit quieter next time. So thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next week.